From Yves Trudeau to Johnny K9, Canada has a long history of famous bikers who caused a lot of trouble. One of the most well-known bikers is a man from Quebec named Maurice. He is considered one of the most brutal members ever of the Hells Angels, and there are several reasons for that. The birth of a biker. Maurice was born on June 21st, 1943. He grew up in a poor family with 7 siblings, and his family struggled to make ends meet. After leaving school in the 9th grade, he worked in construction just like his father. However, he soon realized that the hard physical labor just wasn't for him. Instead, Maurice turned to drugs, starting with marijuana, then moving on to harder drugs as his addiction grew. He became involved in crime to support his drug habit, resorting to theft. In 1974, he was arrested for the first time, went through a year-long trial, which resulted in a 40-month prison sentence. Prison life and transformation. While in jail, the biker scene in Quebec went through some significant changes. Maurice had decided whether to reflect on his actions and plan a different future or continue down the same path upon his release. He might have even made connections with criminals in prison that would further his plans. The rise of Hells Angels in Canada. When Maurice was released, the Hells Angels were expanding their influence and engaging in some violent battles. They'd already gained control in New York City, and now they targeted Canada. Leading the charge was their infamous leader, Yves Trudeau, whose name alone struck fear in anyone who crossed his path. The Hells Angels wasted no time in establishing their presence in Canada. They quickly became dominant in the drug trade, holding a firm grip on the criminal underworld. Maurice was a member of the SS, a right-wing biker gang, but it was clear that he was no ordinary biker. He was ruthless, merciless, and was feared by both his fellow bikers and the police. Switching sides. In 1984, Maurice was arrested for sexual assault and spent 40 months in prison. It was during his time in custody that he decided to switch sides and to join the Hells Angels, as they were the winning team in the drug trade. Maurice was hungry for power, and he believed the Hells Angels could give him what he wanted. However, fate had other plans for the Hells Angels expansion. Another gang called the Rock Machine Nomads declared war on the Hells Angels, shifting the balance of power in the drug trade. The Nomads were a formidable force formed by a biker who had once ridden with Maurice in the SS. The streets became dangerous, but Maurice was not one to avoid a fight. He believed the Hells Angels needed a hero, and he was ready to step up and to be that hero. He murdered a rival biker, earning the respect and the admiration of his gang members. Maurice had finally proven himself and become a respected member of the Hells Angels. However, he questioned whether killing the rival biker was the right choice. Would the ruthless expansion and thirst for power of the Hells Angels lead to their downfall in Canada, or would they maintain control over the criminal underworld? Ascension to power. The Hells Angels faced betrayal and power struggles. Their leader fled, leaving a void in leadership. And to make matters worse, Yves Trudeau, one of the most powerful and feared bikers in the country, became a state witness. This left the once mighty Hells Angels vulnerable and desperate. Amidst the chaos, Maurice emerged as a true warrior, ready to fight his way to the very top. In 1987, he became the leader of the Hells Angels in Canada. Building an empire. Determined to strengthen his gang by any means necessary, Maurice started bringing smaller biker clubs under the Hells Angels banner. Those who refused were dealt with forcefully. When a club called the Outlaws opposed the Hells Angels, Maurice ordered an attack on their clubhouse. The Outlaws surrendered, becoming part of the Hells Angels, while those who resisted were eliminated. Maurice's hunger for power was not satisfied, and he formed a new club called the Rockers. The Rockers were a group dedicated to carrying out the dirty work needed to maintain the Hells Angels' supremacy. Those who proved themselves in the Rockers became full members of the Hells Angels, while the rest were cast aside. The leader of the Nomads was finally arrested, providing Maurice with an opportunity to take down the rival gang. However, the nomads fought back fiercely, which resulted in a bloody war with many casualties. The Bloody War. In 1994, the ongoing war between the two gangs led to 20 murders. Maurice was determined to come out on top and promised a large reward for every nomad who was killed. He ruled his gang with an iron fist, demanding brutal violence against anyone who opposed them, including rival bikers, informants, journalists, even the police. The authorities responded by creating a special unit, Wolverine, to hunt down the bikers and bring them to justice. However, Maurice did not back down. The Reign of Terror. In retaliation, he created a hit list that included prison guards, lawyers, and even judges. The Reign of Terror had begun. Maurice was in control. Under his command, over 100 people were killed and 80 bombings took place. Despite numerous arrests and trials, Maurice managed to evade justice due to his powerful presence in courtrooms and on the streets. Eventually, though, Maurice's luck ran out. He was sentenced to life in prison for all his crimes. Even behind bars, he managed to maintain his influence over the Hells Angels for a while, but he was eventually expelled from the gang in 2014. He also became a victim of a stabbing in prison, highlighting the risks of his former life of violence and crime. Maurice's story serves as a warning about the dangers of unchecked power and the devastating consequences that can happen from a life of crime. If you like this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you will always get the very latest from us first.